Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am sharing how to make a puzzle using the Cricut Maker, the knife blade, and chipboard. This is such a fun project because you can personalize it any way you want and it just turns out really cool. These puzzles can make awesome gifts, and I liked the heart puzzle because I thought it would be such a cool Valentine's Day gift as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, and I would love it if you subscribed if you are new to my channel, and let's get into the video. I'm going to grab my puzzle design first. Cricut Design Space has puzzle templates, so I'm going to click on Images. Then I'm going to go up to the search bar and type in puzzle. Since I'm doing this as a Valentine's Day video, I'm going to choose a heart puzzle, as you can see over here. Also, if I click on View Image Sets, you can see all the different puzzle options that you have. So they do have quite a few options in here. This one's quite a bit bigger. I am going to do the heart one. I subscribe to Cricut Access, so I'm not sure how much it is without Cricut Access. I would assume it would be 99 cents to $1.99, but it doesn't show me on here. So I'm going to click that and add it to the canvas. Now what I'm going to do is upload my image that I'm going to be using. So I'll come over here and click upload, then I'll go to upload image and browse. I just downloaded a picture onto my computer, so I'm grabbing this from my downloads folder and I'll hit open. I'm going to choose complex because I want the best detail in my picture, and I'll hit continue. Here I'm just going to hit apply and continue, and I am going to select print and cut image and upload this into Cricut Design Space. Since it's a bigger file, it might take a little bit for it to upload into Cricut. Now I can just select on the picture and hit add to canvas. It pulls it in really big, so I'm just going to decrease it a little first. And now I'm just going to show you what this heart puzzle looks like. If you look on the side, there's two different layers. I'm going to ungroup them and I am going to separate them so you can see what the two layers are. This solid heart is going to be the base of the puzzle where you would put the pieces onto. And for this piece, the Cricut's going to cut all of these lines on the inside of the heart, but it's also going to cut the outside of the heart, and it's going to make a cut on the inner part of this border. So what I'm going to be doing is this outer edge of the heart, I'm going to glue it onto this part of the heart, and then the puzzles will fit in between. So hopefully that makes sense, but you'll kind of see what it looks like when it's done. For my picture, what I'm going to do is use printable vinyl. I'm going to print this off, and I am going to take the backing off and stick it to my puzzle piece, and then I'll have the Cricut cut this with the picture on top of it. Now I'm going to figure out my sizing for my puzzle and for my picture. I'm going to hit undo and group these hearts back together because I want them both to stay the same exact size, and it'll be easier to do it that way. I have it grouped together, but to figure out my sizing over my picture, it's going to be easier for me to hide this solid piece. And I am going to right click and send my picture to the back. So one thing with this sizing is I'm using print and cut. So as you can see with this picture, there's a little error message that says the image is too large and it can't be more than 6.75 by 9.25. A way that you can get around this if you're doing a puzzle is you can just print this picture off, not through Cricut, but I'm just going to keep it in Cricut Design Space. So I know the largest my picture can be is 6.75. So for my heart height, I'm going to make it 6.75. Then I'm just going to slide this over here, and I might make my picture just a little bit smaller. I'm just going to kind of line up the picture inside of the heart. I might actually make my heart just a little bit smaller to make sure my picture can be that 6.75 for the height. So I like how that looks like that, but I don't need all this extra part of the image, and I have to make this image down to the correct size. So I'm just going to use the slice tool to do that. I tested out this project before and I sliced it out into a heart, and it was too hard for me to line the image up perfectly with the chipboard. So what I'm going to do is just make it a rectangle, and I think it'll be easier to line it up. What I'm going to do is grab a shape, and I'll grab a rectangle. I'm going to make the rectangle height 6.75. Oops, not 26, 6.75. And I'm just going to hit unlock and make the width 10 inches just so that it goes past the length of the picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this over the heart so I have it where I want it. You can only slice 2 layers at a time, so I do have that heart layer underneath this rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I have my rectangle selected. I'm just going to hit shift on my keyboard and come over to the layers panel, and I will select the print and cut picture. So now I have just the picture and just the rectangle selected, and I'll come down here and hit slice. Now I can just pull these pieces away. This is all the excess that I don't need, so I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to delete all the parts of my rectangle. And the heart should be behind there. There it is. Now we have our picture, and if you look at the sizing, it's within the print and cut sizing restrictions, so that will work. Now I'm going to unhide my solid heart. I'm going to hit ungroup again since I'm done with the sizing. I just want to double check that everything looks good. So I'll hit send to back. And I don't think I mentioned it, but I'm going to be using chipboard for my wood puzzles. So this heart and this heart will be cut out of chipboard, and this will be using printable vinyl. Now I'm ready to click make it. I'll select on a mat and hit done. It'll separate these on 3 different mats. I'll hit continue. And what I want to do first is print my image, and then I'll go back up to the other layer. So I'm going to go down to the print and cut image, and I am going to print this first. So I am just going to hit send to printer, and I am going to select use system dialog and hit print. And for some reason this has been doing this. It pulls my system dialog screen behind Cricut Design Space. So let me find that. See, it is back here for some reason, and I don't know why it's doing that. This just pulls up your printer settings, and I am going to select best for my printer setting, and then I'm going to select print. I'm using Cricut printable vinyl, which I actually really like this material, and as you can see here, it's printing off of my printer. Now I'm just going to search for the printable vinyl setting. And I'm also going to select more since I've had troubles with it cutting all the way through. Here's what the picture looks like after it prints. I set it on the Cricut mat and have the Cricut cut it out. And actually, I wouldn't do this next time. I would just cut it with my paper trimmer or my scissors, and I'll show you why in just a little bit. You can see that there is a check mark there because I have that printed and cut. Now I'm going to go up to my solid heart and select that. Then I'm going to search for the chipboard setting. So I'm going to search for chipboard. I am using 1.5 millimeter, but I had practiced this before in the solid heart. It didn't want to cut all the way through with that setting, so I'm actually going to choose heavy chipboard for my setting, and I'll hit done. It'll give some instructions here to move the star reels all the way to the right and to use the strong grit mat with masking tape, and it also says to load the knife blade in clamp B. I'm using my purple strong grit mat. You'll definitely need this mat for the project. I'm also using Cricut brand chipboard, and the size is 1.5 millimeters. I make sure to press my brayer tool over the chipboard to really press it into the mat. Then I add blue painter's tape on all 4 sides of the chipboard. This will make sure it stays put and doesn't slide around at all while the Cricut's cutting. If it does slide around, it will most likely ruin the cut. On the left side, I take my scissors and cut half of it off so the tape isn't hanging off of the mat and it keeps it from interfering with the Cricut machine while it's cutting. I place my knife blade into my Cricut Maker. I have heard the deep point blade might be able to cut through the chipboard on the Cricut Explorer machines, but I haven't tried that out yet. If anyone has, then let us know if it worked. I load my mat into the Cricut machine and the Cricut will start cutting out the heart. I also want to mention my white star wheels are all the way to the right. If you can see it on the roller there, you want to make sure that you move those. The Cricut does several passes over the heart. This type of material takes much longer to cut than other material. When it's done, I wait to check if it cuts all the way through before unloading the mat. As you can see, it cut perfectly, so I was able to unload the Cricut mat. My chipboard had a little bit of tape on it still. If yours does, just be careful removing it because sometimes it can pick up part of that chipboard. Now that it's done with the solid heart, it's going to move down to the puzzle piece part. And to get my picture lined up just how I wanted it inside of the heart, I am going to actually click edit and I am going to move this down. I'm going to have the heart be 1 inch down and 1 inch over so that I know where to place my picture. This for me is the best way that I know how to do it. There might be an easier way, but this is how I am going to give this a try. Okay, I'm going to select done, and then I'll show you how I do this on the mat. I place the chipboard on the top left of the mat, even though I have it set to cut the heart 1 inch down and 1 inch over. I add my tape on again, and this is one reason why I moved my heart design down. The tape would most likely tear some of the printable vinyl, so I didn't want it to overlap over that at all. I decided to take my ruler and measure 1 inch down and 1 inch over and drew lines with my pencil just to make sure my picture was going to be lined up where it should be. I realized it was going to be hard to line my image on the chipboard with those black registration lines there, so I decided to cut those off with my paper trimmer, and that's why I would recommend just cutting it yourself and skipping the Cricut cutting it. I set the top left corner of the picture right at those pencil line marks. I bent back part of the backing and placed the sticky part on that left side down. Then I slowly remove the rest of the backing. I just find this easier to place it correctly. I use my brayer tool to press the picture down really well onto the chipboard. After that, I load my Cricut mat into the Cricut machine and it'll start cutting the puzzle. As you can see, it takes 24 passes and it estimates the time for it to be done, which is a little over an hour. I timed how long it took and it was exactly 1 hour, so it does take a very long time for it to cut. I would recommend still staying close to your machine while it's cutting though. I noticed that it looked like it had cut all the way through by the 17th out of 24th pass, so I paused the machine and checked with my weeding tool. As you can see, the pieces were cut really well, so I unloaded the mat and stopped it early. This is why you'll want to keep an eye on your project. I probably could have kept the setting at the 1.5 millimeter instead of the heavy chipboard. Now I'm ready to add that heart outline to my other heart. I decided to use hot glue for this. You want to be careful not to get the hot glue anywhere outside of that outer edge, just because you want that puzzle piece to fit perfectly inside of it. Here's what it looks like after it's glued on, and here is a clip of me putting the puzzle pieces together. This was such a fun project to do. I think it is so cool that the Cricut can make a puzzle piece. You can get really creative with this by adding whatever picture you want, and it would make awesome gifts as well. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, I make all things Cricut and craft related. So I would love it if you subscribed if you are new to my channel.